Greetings and welcome back. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, here as always with Kyle Fergusson, and today we are here to celebrate the fact that we now can confirm Heroes of the Storm still has at least one person that can turn the servers off and on.
Now, we have to admit to ourselves that we were tricked. There was server maintenance only on the NA server. It said scheduled maintenance tomorrow. Game was going to be down for 2 hours.
I would like to I'm going to call out all EU players because I clearly looked at every page on the forum and every single post on the Reddit, so I definitely checked everywhere. And I didn't see anyone in Europe informing me of this fact until after the servers came back up.
I agree. There was a lot of people saying, I knew it once the servers were actually just back on and nothing had happened. We were all rather excited to see if we were getting that patch that season.
I love calling elections once the president is inaugurated. That's my favorite thing to do.
It's nice and safe. It feels good to be correct sometimes.
Yeah.
There was also apparently like server maintenance for StarCraft 2 at the same time. So, but we got excited. We got excited. The show's recording a little late today because we gave it some room. And we also wanted to see if like any data mining sort of anything had come through and anybody had noticed anything different going on. So right now, same game, same season. Next week, perhaps, we got a community message that we're going to talk about in a little bit. We got our hopes up, you know? That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing like, not gonna lie, it annoys the shit out of me. This drives me absolutely crazy. But if I stop and think about it for more than 2 seconds, I have to think to myself, there is nobody... I cannot believe that there is anyone on the Heroes of the Storm team that is not aware of how utterly maddening this is.
Oh, yeah.
So I just have to imagine that there is some reason why there is no communication whatsoever out of the Heroes team. I don't know why. I'm very curious as to why. I would love to know. But you know, all we have is what we know from the outside looking in, and it sucks. I got nothing else to say, but this sucks. This lack of communication is butt.
My best assumption, of course, and these are assumptions, but they're being told to not communicate with us. They're being told to maybe not work on the game. Like, these things happen. In normal everyday jobs, you know, the ice machine in the back of your coffee restaurant is disgusting, but you can't legally clean it. So you do nothing that day, even though there's no customers. And these things happen throughout all sorts of corporations. And right now, Blizzard's having a very large shakeup. And they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their classics team. And we saw that a little bit in just who was sent to communicate with us. Pez Radar.
I'm so sorry. One of my favorite meme generators, Dax, is in chat room and says, I get more communication out of my ex-wife.
I'm glad that the Heroes devs do not like vengefully post at us at midnight. Maybe I'm making some assumptions there about ex relationships, but still, like there's no.
I was like, where are you going with this? I'm like, did that happen on World of Warcraft that I missed?
No. I'm just saying that things are still professional. Like there's no maliciousness in their posting. They are doing their best to tell us what they know they can say.
Yeah, and so that's the thing is like I want to be very clear that what I think sucks is whatever the reason is that there's no communication.
Right.
Like I don't think our devs are sitting there going, no, we don't feel like talking. Let them drive themselves insane trying to decipher when anything new will come.
It's also just a really odd time for that silence, of course, because we have NGS in full swing heading towards its finals. The teams are practicing in Storm League, so it's packed with 5 stacks. My queues are 2 minutes long. Every single one is full of new faces. The CCL is going on, and those are some drag-out awesome fights at high-level tournament play.
I got to watch a Zagara.
A serious one too. I do the halftime interviews over there, and they said that'll happen more. That is a legit strategy. That wasn't some like let me do it. They had practiced that Zagara.
Oh, okay. So I'm not in on the meta about this. By the way, I'm talking about a Simplicity game from week 1. If anyone wants to go see it, I think it was like smack dab in the middle. Because if I do Simplicity, what was that? Oh, I think that went to all 5 games. Pass.
Alterac Pass.
Alterac Pass. Yeah. Okay. So what's the meta there? Because I definitely missed, if it was explained, I definitely missed what like the strategy is. Like, why is Zagara? Why Alterac Pass?
They wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't tell me.
Oh, they wouldn't tell you? They just,
yeah, no. Because it's secret. It's a secret strategy, and they believe that Zagara has legitimacy. I believe they ran a full giant killer build there, which is a very powerful build. It's a lot of damage. We can talk a little bit more in depth on that when we talk about the CCL here and kind of take a look at that build, because it is a really fun build, and we can highlight it for everybody. But my mind is in such a interesting compartment this week because I've been watching something on Disney Plus called The History of Imagineering, or just Imagineering.
Oh, I've seen that in full. That is despite the fact that you might think, you would think a Disney documentary about Disney stuff would be biased, and it is a little bit. It's actually pretty good. It's like a really good doc, and they're more critical than I would expect them to be. But how are you going to tie this in the Heroes of the Storm is now what I want to know.
Well, they're hard on themselves in the past, right? But as you get to the end of the episodes, everything's really golden and really clean. And Disney's, of course, launching into the future and always has its eye on tomorrow. And it gets kind of, preachy. But who cares? The interesting idea. Yeah, but the interesting idea about it is, of course, watching a corporation go through so many changes, losing leadership, like, of course, Walt Disney, and losing other leaders along the way. And as a great leader comes in, the company is able to have a consistent vision and go into the future. And when we think of these video games like parks, right now, go watch it. Right now, Heroes of the Storm is a little bit of California Adventure. We're seeing the walls beyond. We're curious about why it feels weird. Why do we not have the escapism when we go in there? I would love for it to be plussed, is a term they use. To just go in there and just start cleaning stuff up. Just energize it. And there's so many suggestions we want to give. And there's so much constructive criticism, positive feedback we want to have an exchange with. And my biggest fear right now is that the devs are listening, to be perfectly honest. I'm concerned that laying on so much hope and pressure just makes their job harder. It's one thing to be negative. It's another thing to constantly say, I'm so stoked for you. When's it happening? And they can't.
That's how it feels right now.
It's a fascinating time. The rides still work, though. Like, I went on a big Sylvanas bender this week, and I've never really been super into Sylvanas. It was a particularly odd game.
Yeah, I was wondering where that came from, because while we were waiting to see if anything if anyone noticed anything from whatever the hell happened with servers today, we played a game, and you just like snapped into that Sylvanas. I'm like, whoa, wait, Kyle, what'd you do with? Huh? When did this happen? Is it Halloween? You just feeling emo? You needed somebody with some really dramatic mascara?
No, I mean, it is kind of interesting that our Sylvanas is a capture of a time from when she was so well regarded as a lore character. Like, people were buying statues and stuff at the time that Here's the Storm was doing Sylvanas.
I got one right behind me. It's I have amazing bokeh that no one else can achieve on Twitch, so you can't really see her, but
it's like how we have Happy Jaina. It's just it's Here's the Storm is a capturing of non-depressed Thrall. Like, it's great. And we get the best version of the character. Sylvanas, I needed a sustained damage, and they went Medivh. And I had a cute idea that when Medivh goes through portals, he's usually standing in one exact place. So I went Mind Control Sylvanas.
Oh,
and Mind
you
Control
are
that
a
Medivh.
bastard. Is this from an NGS game where you had this breakthrough?
No, that was just a Storm League game.
Oh, okay.
It was just a random idea. Like I said, I'm bouncing around in Diamond 5, Diamond 4. So the plays aren't insane right now. I'm still learning. I haven't really picked a main. And I just had a really, really good time talking about that exact build I talked about previously with you, where you go for all the stacks and deal more damage, more of an auto attack build. And it was just a delight. And then I did another giant killer game where I went the full level 1. I had a Jane on the team. So whenever things are slowed, you're dealing 1% giant killer. Not a huge aspect, but eventually you get that attack range and you're dealing with a lot of big boys out there. It was really, really fun. So I'm kind of a Sylvanas main right now. If I'm not doing that, I'm like doing Varian. I'm in a really just fun, play what I want kind of area because my Storm League games are so crazy, because they're packed with returning CCL players firing up their streams, getting more practice in as they took the season off. That wasn't a note about Heroes of the Storm's downfall. It was merely that they worked so hard during the on season, they played other games during the off. And of course, being, a tournament of this level with this amount of funding, they're not building endurance before it. So these CCL games were a little John Wicky this past weekend, if you catch my meaning. Like the final match of a best of 5 was both just trading exhausted fists into each other's face while they sort of huddled on each other like the end of Rocky. It's human. When we have really, really high caliber esports, it's amazing. They've trained 9 hours a day. They can do it. At our current level of esports, it's very human. And you can see the sweat on their brow and the exhaustion hitting them.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like astutely watch every single damn game, but what I did see was damn entertaining. Yeah, we're gonna talk. Excuse me. Something got my tongue. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that later, but yeah, it's doing all right. Outside of like, where is our devs? Like, shit's great in Heroes right now.
It's a really solid game. It is, it's like that California Adventure. It's really solid rides, and it's a decent park, but it's lacking that escapism, and we're all really seeing the seams, and we want to see it just get reinvigorated with some vision. And I do feel like the company as a whole right now lacks that vision. We're hearing all sorts of crazy stories, of course.
Oh, dude, this week is such a shit show. Like, Blizzard Entertainment is like, I'm just like, yeah, it being this kind of, there's already been so many cracks showing in the facade of what we thought was a really great company. Like, after this last week with this earnings call and one of the two brand new freaking leaders of Blizzard just being like, yeah, never mind, I'm out. Like, it just feels like, yeah, this place has problems. And it's not going to be magically fixed overnight. It's, yeah. I don't even know where to go with this, man. Like, I like playing Heroes. I like playing Hearthstone. Everything else kind of seems like it's on fire right now.
Yeah, it is, frankly. It is.
Yeah. So I got nothing else to say other than, oh boy, there's a lot of, if you look at that earnings call and you look at, Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4, 2023 at the soonest, you just go, that's Hearthstone has to make a lot of money, is where my brain goes.
Well, even more bizarre, particularly as Heroes of the Storm players, is watching Overwatch become stagnant. That was a game. We've had more hero releases than Overwatch has.
I think we've got a map more recently.
Perhaps.
Is that
I'm
true?
not entirely sure on that. I think their last map was 2018 or 19. So
okay, then they have gotten a map since we have. But what, one? Yeah. They've gotten ones, and since we've gotten one, like.
But they're in an interesting predicament because they have an answer for their silence, and it is, don't worry, Overwatch 2 is coming. Don't you worry.
Sorry, the translation of that answer is wait till 2023.
And they're supposed to be playing next year, 2022, on the Overwatch 2 servers for the esports in order to hype up Overwatch 2 and show off the new balance, as well as the decreased number of team members down to 5.
Are we doing esport punditry? Can we do it? Can we go here for a second?
Absolutely.
That is such a bad idea to me. That is such a horrendously moronic idea. Like, hey, get hyped for this thing you can't play. Aren't you excited to watch this thing that you can't experience?
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Even when I watch like high-end food television, I'm like, yeah, I can't cook like that. But at least I can get the ingredients and try to have my own experience at home. This is just, yeah, I'm not into it.
Right.
To me, one of the, and I get that there are like you're not going to be able to go play football in a professional field. You're not going to be able to, like, most of us can't go have an experience like if we watch NASCAR at home. But one of the key things that attracts me to esports is the fact that I can go and play with the exact same pieces that the professionals are playing with.
I agree. It was a huge reason why StarCraft esports was so appealing. It's why we were so hard on Here's the Storm esports when they would hold back a patch, because it made those matches seem sort of meaningless for what we wanted to learn from at home and then deliver in our home games. That fantasy of going and throwing the football while the game is, on break or in between sets or whatever football does. I worked myself into this. That's my fault. But all the same, Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah,
It's a bizarre decision, and even more bizarre that it was not going to just be show matches. It was going to be official. It's like watching House Hunters, yet they're not surprised by the indoor of these places. How boring is that? Nor is it Cribs, where you're receiving a tour and information about the upcoming thing. They were going to act completely casual with a game you didn't understand in front of their audience, with new characters, supposedly, with brand new maps that you don't know the layout of. That's strange.
Yeah, it is very odd, man. Like, people get really, really butthurt in Hearthstone for the theory crafting streams. Like, I think usually a week out, if not even less, from the release of a new expansion, they'll let influencers go and play with the set on a private server where they can actually play against each other, and so they can try out ideas for decks of the new cards. And players at home get really angry about that. It is a major point of contention. I could kind of take or leave it either way, but there are a lot of people that don't dig it because they feel like a lot is being lost from that launch of expansion day, where you get to kind of figure things out and go hit a ladder where nothing is figured out. Which I can understand. I really don't mind. I could go either way. But I understand where they're coming from. I get the desire to have that day one absolute clown fiesta of no one knows what they're doing. So you want to talk about Blizzard already has a game where players are mad when influencers get 5 days early access to it because they're figuring things out. And now you're telling me that you're going to take an entire marquee product and let it get figured out for longer than a year? That just seems bonkers to me.
They're still going to do it, is the word. The word on the street is that they're still going to go forward with their plan, now pushing it out a full year to make those players play a game in front of everybody that the at-home audience can't have for another year. Now,
I have one final thought on this conversation that I think does, to a certain extent, tie into Heroes of the Storm. Which is there's been a lot of, we talked about it briefly last week, BlizzCon line, them announcing that it's canceled, and they want to take this time to see what a BlizzCon of the future could look like, which the more I think on that sounds like a soft BlizzCon is over until maybe we think it's a good idea again. The more I sit with that, the more it really feels like my favorite band going, we're going on hiatus, which for half of the bands means they're never getting back together.
It's just so sad. It's an unhealthy relationship, and they're prolonging it. It's we're gonna go on a break. It's not you, it's me, and they're doing this in corporate speak. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and so what I find interesting here is just kind of Blizzard's history of always wanting to wait until there was enough the packages to put under the proverbial Christmas tree. We've talked about, we've circled back around to this many times. Just talking Heroes of the Storm, us going and knowing full well we don't know how easy it would be to do more minor patches. We don't know what it's like, how much effort it goes into updating Heroes of the Storm. I would certainly be interested in a blog out of the Heroes devs kind of explaining how it is built and if that is even a reasonable request. So that in mind, there's just, to me, it's always been a little weird that Blizzard has always wanted to just wait. No, hold everything. Hold all of our announcements until BlizzCon. Hold all of our game additions until the big patch. To me, it's always been why don't we just put things out when it's ready? Why don't we just announce things when it's ready? And to a certain extent, Blizzard does this, but then there's that clam up. There's that tide rolling out ahead of BlizzCon. And so with BlizzCon going away for God knows how long, I've really been thinking about that and being like, as much as I love BlizzCon, I am missing it like hell right now. 3 weeks of my Facebook has been nothing but BlizzCon memories. You don't use Facebook. Facebook gives you memories on the anniversaries of photos that you upload. And for 3 weeks in a row, because BlizzCon used to be Halloween, and now it's for the last God knows how many years, it's been like the first weekend of November. It's just been BlizzCon memory. Hey, you remember this? Hey, you remember that? I'm missing it so much. But that's being said, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense on the modern gaming landscape. Like, you got something to announce, just announce it. You got something to put out in a patch, just put it out. I don't understand this need to wait and gather and build and here you go nuts.
I mean, clearly for this one, they wouldn't have anything to show. And it would be a gathering of peoples who are frustrating with their world, their park, their product. Previously, we saw things like the Diablo Immortal debacle, which was a result of tickets being bought way back in April, people waiting all year and then getting kind of played along the way that there's going to be a big Diablo announcement of some kind. It may not be what you expect, which people are just going to say, "Oh, I've been told that before. It's going to be a small Christmas this year. Merry Christmas." Just kidding. We've all had something along that experience, whether or not it might not be Christmas, a birthday, a surprise party, something. And so we get our hopes up. It's just naturally human. I think it's a very, very different world when people would be brought together to use that as a forum for their critique, maybe even a opportunity for their frustration to be aired, to be in contact with devs. And, we talked last episode about it just being a whole different world in general. And would they have to supply security, insurance to the hotels and everything else in the area that this con then creates this atmosphere around? I don't know.
Yeah. The future of a conference like that, just in general, is just strange. I mean, I think we've had like a PAX this year, right? And I think there's rumblings about like E3 returning in a traditional form next year. But still, it's just weird. So, anyways, it was just a thought. Some of this does tie into like Here's a Storm, because like right now it kind of feels like, are we just waiting until you feel like you have enough stuff to release? Because like I'm ready. Like, you want to put out one rework, like let's go. I'm ready for it.
The tough thing about that is just that break in trust across the company, that it'll be ready when it's ready, and those things weren't ready. I mean, look at.
Well, I think that's where a lot of the frustration on the Heroes of the Storm side of things comes, because it's like, no, we stopped trusting your corporate overlords in 2018.
Right.
We were a little early to the party. Yeah, we stopped trusting Blizzard corporate a long time ago. We've already been on this ride. We trust our devs. We trust the Heroes of the Storm team. We trust the talent. We trust the artists. We trust the people that are making this game continue to happen. And now it's quiet. And so I think that's where that's coming from. Like, Heroes of the Storm is so unique in that way. Like, this community is unlike anything I have ever experienced across the many games that I've covered. So, yeah, it's just strange.
Ultimately, it's going to cost a lot of money. All of this, not fixing their ongoing legal issues, which is where they're currently spending money. You have to then reinvest back in the games and the worlds that you've created. And it feels like we're losing the visionaries, the kings. They're leaking talent really hard. We're not even seeing a chance for, one of our newest CEOs to even make much of an impact before she heads out. It's going to cost a lot to reinvigorate the game itself, not just public image of it. And I don't know if they're willing to spend that. And that's where Heroes of the Storm is currently, and you can see it on Reddit right now. They're having an argument with themselves whether or not they can give constructive criticism. If they will be listened to, and if their game will be improved in that way. And if it stays the way it is, We have CCL, we have NGS. There's a lot of people who really, really love this game, playing it as it's the best MOBA. I still stream it because I love it. And I just love playing the game. Let's talk a little bit about what did happen this week.
Okay. Yeah. So did you see that thread from a contractor going around?
Yes.
Okay, that was another interesting thing. I'm not getting into here because I don't think there's much to say there other than it's strange that a contractor that was supposed to work on Heroes of the Storm stuff this year just got ghosted and never got contacted again. That's kind of the meat of it if you are interested in Heroes of the Storm. But we've got a link in the show notes that you should go and check out if you haven't seen it already.
It's a breakdown of communication. Basically, if you want to read into it, you can see that they were contacted for Overwatch work back in the fall of 2020. And that was the last bit of communication they in particular received. They did some concept art for mounts and skins, but mainly worked on portraits and doing smaller art projects as well as some weapons for Hearthstone. So not a full-time employee, of course, but it was a breakdown of the pipeline and what we heard in the past, particularly around or figured out more through Twitter. We never heard it directly from the company, but we found out through Twitter that our holiday event skins like Kira and Mephisto were done by an outside company. And those were outsourced and then put in the game. And so this is a viewpoint of a contract worker who's on the outside who saw that communication fall apart.
Yeah. Then we got a blue response in the subreddit this week that was just responding to a summon thread saying nothing to share.
Nothing to share, just to set expectations, but I always do love these summonings. Hopefully something soon. The thing that was a little shocking about this was that when you click on their account here, you see that they're very much involved constantly in the Diablo 2 business going on with their servers. And they're a community manager shared across the Classics development team. Now, if you scroll back far enough, you're going to find the turning off of Stukov for the weekend. So they have been around Heroes of the Storm before, but that's not their primary job.
Yeah. I mean, we already knew that. This has been the case since, again, 2018. PR representatives being shared for Heroes of the Storm. I mean, for us, it was a night and day experience. Going from having a dedicated community manager to not. It's very hard to raise someone over there. So, but let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about CCL. We've been dancing around it. Let's get into it and talk about damn Season 3 because it had its first weekend. It looks like we'll have at least 2 weekends on this patch now. We thought we might only have one. But that didn't stop the Heroes of the Storm action from being effing wonderful. Like I said, I got to see some Zagara action. That was lovely. Got to see a little Rexar action. Some stuff in there besides Hogger to make me happy, Kyle.
Nice.
And the Hogger.
Besides Hogger, huh?
Dude, I hate that hero. I'm sorry. That hero is not for me.
He's just off taking camps. I don't feel like I saw a really impactful Hogger this weekend. That is a generalization. I don't mean to insult any Hogger players out there by any means. I've certainly been forcibly one too many times. I've been there. But I never really felt like, oh, there goes Hogger again. Wow, he's so OP. That was too much. I can't believe they didn't ban it.
Would you say that you've been picking out on Hogger?
No time reasonably enough. But he does have that increased camp taking speed and very large survivability. His performance in the CCL, however, is very determined by his windups, which we're finding is his biggest counter. For a while, there were lots of different things being played, like healing reduction into Hogger or trying to zone him out. But really what people have found is it takes a little moment for him to spin and then go on the Hog Wild and another moment to actually load up the Hortipult to get away. So a quick stun of any kind will end up ruining that. And then he's set on some sort of cooldown.
Gotcha. Yeah. Chat room's asking, what if Hogger had a Chihuahua skin directed clearly at me? Okay, yeah, then I might figure out how to play this hero. It's the kid. And the kid it's not for me, man. Not I don't want to play Crossfire.
That's fine. There was plenty of other things. There was a Nova this weekend that some people found very entertaining, and there was also your Zagara.
I keep hearing about the Nova game. I didn't see the Nova game. I need to go see the Nova game. That's exciting. Was it like a map pick, or was it just like feel it in my gut kind of a thing?
It was a fascinating little match on Volskaya that came to an interesting end. Basically, the strategy here was, at least from what we could tell in space in the air from Storm Esports, was that on Volskaya there's multiple turret camps and there's lots of siege camps. So they went Sylvanas with the Mercenary Lord. And in order to facilitate taking that many turrets quickly, they took Nova with Bribe.
Okay.
So when you got to the pad, basically the Storm had both turrets in most of the fights.
Plus the Merc Lord buff, I guess.
Yeah. So I believe that's 60% more damage coming out of those turrets, and it hit pretty hard. But
double turrets, just 60% increased damage. Yeah, that's mean.
It was pretty cool. However, Oxygen ended up drafting a Blaze, an ETC, and an Imperious with a Lunara backline, plus a Stukov. So you had lots of healing, huge targets. There's no way to target those turrets. So one was attacking Blaze, one was attacking Imperious. Sometimes it would fart off and attack ETC as they kind of danced into the range of it. And it ended up just not doing a lot because it couldn't focus fire on one tank or one front line.
So that's part of what I really liked about this is, because we had Bahamut on last week. If you missed the episode, definitely go back and listen to it, because I think it'll really kind of set the stage for you for this season of the CCL. But we talked a lot about kind of the heroes we would expect, like who would be the big band picks, like popular heroes. And there were two standouts that I would like to now stamp with the moniker of, I would call them the darlings of this first weekend of CCL, that consistently made it through draft and consistently were on winning teams that I think will apply to our at-home games. These aren't your like pocket Medivhs or anything. Vala, and you mentioned it already, Blaze. These heroes were abundantly like abundantly present in the games this weekend and frequently on the winning side.
It's worth noting, of course, that Junkrat was banned 75% of the time. Lots of Stukov, lots of Dahaka, even Diablo bans. But you're absolutely right that they did see a lot of play. I think one of the big stories from this weekend is just Lunara in general, because Lunara has the throughput to be a solo carry ranged assassin if things are held still for choking pollen.
Well, and we saw multiple times bans go out to Lunara this weekend in the CCL. I was going to ask you, like, would we consider Lunara like a meta CCL hero at this point? Because after this first weekend, it is sure looking like it to me.
Only because of Chokin' Pollen. So that is a level 7 talent. Noxious Blossom deals 100% more damage to enemies afflicted by nature's toxin, increased to 200% against enemies with 3 stacks. So this is a little circle that's going to do a lot of burst damage. And in fact, we saw quite a bit of Thornwood Vine to kind of get up to those stacks in the first place. In tournament play, and you can imagine here, with a Blaze, Imperious, ETC all together, there's a good chance someone's going to stand still. Your team's going to lock them down, and you can hit that smaller side of the circle's AoE. And without that talent maybe being overtuned, I don't necessarily think it is. It's just enabling this strategy here. Lunar will continue to be a thing, and that's pretty cool. And that opens up, other options than Vala. Did we even see a gray main? We did. Okay, we saw 5 gray mains this weekend. So quite a few, actually.
Yeah.
But 17 Sylvanas over the start of the season.
Sylvanas is very popular, but also I don't think her win rate's great after the first weekend.
52%.
Oh, okay. Better than I thought.
She's squishy. She very much benefits from the same kind of heavy front line without the need for the stuns, but she's got to be taken care of. You can't really run that Brightwing as much. Brightwing, win rate 35%. With a very high popularity throughout the weekend.
Ooh, okay. So Stukov is typically getting banned. Is the healer you want over Brightwing if available. If Brightwing's got that low of a win rate and Stukov has that high of a ban rate, who's the other healer?
In my opinion, after interviewing some teams, Deckard.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that was another one I found interesting. But we also saw him paired with Uther. What game was that? It wasn't always a solo Deckard.
Yeah, let me find it here. That was, I believe, Simplicity. Simplicity was doing Deckard Uther on Cursed Hollow in their Game 5 versus Diamond Hands. They also ran a Zarya alongside that.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting one, right? Because you might think, oh, well, Uther's tank. Well, they also brought Blaze to the party. So it was really just all our hopes and dreams were on Vala, and it paid off.
Right. It was triple supported Vala, so she was absolutely there to make some noise and be a big deal. Deckard, however, really shines because he has a huge healing reduction. And Ana is quite out right now while we're in more of a dive meta. So Deckard, let me get that. It's Emerald. I believe it's 75%. Yeah, activate to increase the damage of your next Herodric Q by 100% and have it reduce the healing received from enemy heroes by 75% for 4 seconds. And guess what that covers? A Brightwing ZN. So Deckard, with his potion upgrade of speed, those potions connecting faster, is actually one of the kind of sneaky premier heroes I think we'll see a lot of.
What a devious counter.
Yeah.
Whoever figured that out, I bet $10 they're a Magic the Gathering player.
It is a little I play my instant, isn't it?
They understand the concept of the stack.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, yeah, that's a woefully underpicked talent in our games at home. But that is but again, like, this is when I get excited. When I see something at a high level that I can take to a home game. So, like, if you're Deckard and you see a Brightwing on the opposing team, there's nothing stopping you from picking Emerald in that situation. Like, what's stopping you?
Nothing. And in fact, there's also a lot of Dahakas running around. There's all sorts of things you might want to reduce with a Deckard Emerald. And Stay a While Listen is very powerful. It's being run alongside a Nubarax pretty often. So basically, taking advantage of that 1 second force stun at the end of a sleep, you are guaranteed a lockdown of 1 second if somebody is put to sleep. So what they do is they cocoon somebody, then Deckard sleeps over the whole cocoon business, not to like lock other people out, but just so when the cocoon ends, that Genji or whoever can't get away. They're standing there for 1 second.
There's so many devious things happening in the CCL meta.
While we're talking devious here, let's go into your neck of the woods real quick with the Zagara, because that build was a full giant killer.
My neck of the creeped over woods. So sorry, where were you going? I was trying to come up with a good accurate.
So we had Corpse Feeders at 1. This is your infested drop talent.
Yeah, we saw roaches at 1 and 7. We were seeing a lot of poison on 4.
Yep, poison at 4 because we're just wanting that throughput, that sort of burst added. Hydraless Transfusion at 13, and the Corrosive Saliva, which is 1.75 max health giant killer for attacking heroes and the hunter killer roachers.
This is not too far off from how we're seeing Zagara's built at home. The big difference is level 4 and Venom Spines have really fallen out of favor in home games, with Serrated Spines getting 46% pick rate. However, if you look at HOTS logs, and Venom Spines has the highest win rate by a significant margin. So maybe consider going back to those Envenom Spines if you're out there keeping the Zagara dream alive. But other than that, yeah, we're going Roaches 1 and 7. We are going Hydraless Transfusion at 13 the majority of the time. 70% pick rate in our home games.
It's mostly in the home games. It's mainly because of Pact Instinct that people stopped doing in Venom. There was that nerf to it where it didn't deal as much damage come level 20 with your augmented Hunter Killer / Zagara auto attacks. And so people are, I don't like this as much. I'm going to do something else. It's still absolutely the right call to do in Venom Spines. By the way, this was a Devouring Maw, like 4-man Zagara. This in no means was some sort of global soaky business.
No. It's definitely, still kind of doing what she was doing before, like wanting to still bring something to the team fight. It's just not as effective as it was before, but it does appear that this is a very specific pick by a very specific team for a very specific map, Alterac Valley, or Pass.
I think the one thing that won't be translating well to home is just Anubarak. There's plenty of great Anubaraks, don't get me wrong. But what we saw was more of like a tandem kind of idea where the bruiser or the off tank was doing the actual tanking and Anubarak was doing the from bush dives and the CC lockdown, and then basically would run around in circles or completely run away after success or miss.
I mean, I think you can still take an Anubarak in situations when you would have taken him before in your home game. Like if you want the spell armor, like that is still a factor. And if you've got follow up for stuns, really, like do you think you have the burn?
There was also an amazing Urel match which showcased a build that was completely unique to me anyway.
Okay, so we're in we're in your neck of the woods now.
Yeah.
And your neck of the woods has a lot of purple crystals.
Well, hang on though, because your neck of the woods. Let's see here. Your neck of the woods has where is that? Well, it has 11% of the player base. All right, so we're at least getting 1 in 10.
Oh, you're looking at popularity on Hot Slogs? Okay,
yeah. If we go over to my neck of the woods, we're at 2%. So I'm not going to spend as much time on it. Okay, I'm just going to say that it existed. It was a really cool play style involving engaging with righteous momentum for your hammer and saving your divine abilities and your instants for getting out after that. So it was a more tankish, more bully kind of play style than the Mario mode we're used to.
Listen, dude, if you want to like go whole hog into your hipster behavior, that's fine, man. Like we don't choose what we talk about here on this podcast by the popularity on Hot Slogs. Like otherwise we would only be talking about, let's take a look here. On today's episode of Into Nexus, we are only talking about Brightwing, Vala, Nazebo, Azmodan, and Anduin. No.
I'll give it I'll give it some power here. 28% participation in the CCL games. There we've got Liam, we've got Slug Hunter. Like there's a lot of people who just really love Urel who are in the top end who are going to pick it. So it's a little skewed. But in comparison, we saw less Zeratul than that, which is odd.
That's a development, right? Like Zeratul has been a mainstay of competitive Heroes of the Storm for as long as competitive Heroes of the Storm has existed.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Times change.
I'm okay with that. Just seeing less Zeratul in my games. But it is really loaded towards that top end. Like we said, Junkrat, Stukov, Dahaka, Lunara, just taking all the bans that they can with them. And otherwise, you're going to have more of a kind of Anduin as one of your most popular healers. 61% win rate there.
Yeah. Again, the application to the game we play at home, like most of what we're rattling off here, these are things you can work on. These are things you can learn from watching the CCL, and then you can go and try and apply some of this to your game at home. And I love that. That makes me really excited. It makes it an engaging esport that plays to our community as a whole, not just to the best players that are in the CCL.
Just a really solid pickup. And like I was saying earlier, these are tournament players who are being funded through an organization, through a prize pool, but of course they're not professionals at our current age of Heroes of the Storm. That means these games will only get better going forward because a lot of teams hit this week unpracticed, frankly. And they're either going to wake up and be like, damn, we need to practice, or they were good enough. And then we'll see that result later on. It's a more organic experience. It's more home sports, less Olympics. But I think it really adds to the flavor and energy of what you're watching.
No, it absolutely freaking does, man. Like as I've said, this reminds me so much of the earlier days of StarCraft 2 esports. Like it is really warming the deepest recesses of my extremely jaded esports heart. Like, it's great. Like this is the kind of stuff I love. Like my favorite motorsport is drifting, and I know you don't know this because you don't watch any motorsports, but that is a shoestring effing budget. Like compared to NASCAR or Formula One, Formula Drift looks like it is a competition that I tried to put together in my backyard.
The majority of my NASCAR knowledge comes from my some 100 viewings of the movie Cars by Pixar.
Okay.
You know, Chick Hicks cheats a little too much, but I think it's more for the plot. I don't think they actually allow that.
I believe they expressed the concept of drafting, which is a very real thing in NASCAR. So yeah.
There is drifting. An old man.
Oh yeah, in the first
Hudson
one.
Hornet.
In the first one, yeah, in the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen 2 or 3. My son always gets bored because it starts slow.
No respect for Japan, man. That's where it was invented. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? Anyways, sorry. Just kidding. I like smaller scale, more community driven. It's a cheesy buzzword, but passion. Like you can see it. It really is. It exists here in CCL.
Yeah.
Anything from this that's like making you want to get on a different hero? Was Sylvanas, was that part of this, or was it really just down to you wanted to counter a Medivh?
No, I just knew that really cool build from Breakwood with the mind control to pop up your damage real fast, and then I saw an opportunity there with a bigger front line and the giant killer build that I did, as well as the Medivh running around over there and using it for the portal lockdown.
Okay.
But you know, I'm shopping. I've been shopping for a while, and I'm really digging her. I'm very healer dependent, though. Like I didn't expect to have that many opinions, but I really do want to kind of be over supported. I really want to just see more World of Warcraft style heal me all the time stuff out there, rather than the interim heals of maybe a Stukov or even Brightwing's a little scary. She's so squishy.
I am coming out of this first weekend of CCL going Blaze, because you remember I tried Blaze like 3 months ago after his first big kind of retooling, and I bounced off.
Yeah,
but again, it's just like I'm like, okay, so that's how you Blaze.
There's opportunities to know that people are going to be really grouped like Medivhs, and we're going to see more Medivhs, of course, in tournament play. So Blaze, a really cool counter there to just charge everybody who comes through that portal. Whereas, of course, Diablo displaces one person and then is very much alone, and then everybody else is fine. So Blaze being a really good Medivh counter in that way. I think the tough thing about Blaze is that he's really amazing in a team fight. He's basically a better Thrall, honestly. He has lane clear, and then he's amazing when he actually shows up to fight, whereas Thrall has no lane clear, but is amazing when he shows up to a fight. The tough part is coordinating that ebb and flow. Whereas your Rexars or your Hoggers are expected to just fart off, and you're more like the fighter jet at the end that says, "Good to see you, kid. Hey, you came back." The Han Solo moment. Definitely more of a Han Solo kind of Rexar Hogger kind of situation. Blaze, though, he needs to be there. He's so good at getting somebody else to cover your lane while you do those really good things. Tough to coordinate.
Okay, so you think maybe not as applicable to a pickup game?
Yeah. I think he's a great opportunity. But I'm not sure how to coordinate it best in a pickup game.
All right. So, okay. So I will proceed with caution then.
Yeah.
I will cool the flame jets of my burning love.
Yeah. Make sure your team actually has a tank first still. That does need to happen.
That's a brutal commentary on Blaze's tank ability.
You just want someone else who can cover stuff while you have to step away and do some solo lane biz, or helps back up and is kind of feeling what you're cooking to be on character. Because when you charge in and you have more of like a 4 backline situation, ain't no one ready for that. No one's gonna react.
Gotcha. I feel it. I feel you there. Well, before we move on, we should thank our patrons, Kyle. Supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you like the show,
absolutely.
If you like Han Solo references that come out of nowhere, much like the Millennium Falcon that saved Luke's bacon, then you should head over to patreon.com/ITN. It's there if you just want to support the show. The show's free. It'll always be free. If you want to chip in $1 or $2 or more, it's completely up to you. We appreciate it. Check out the patreon.com/ITN. Think of it as like, it's an opt-in way to pay for the show. We do, however, also offer some perks. So if you want access to the Discord, if you want to come join us for our monthly game nights, we do them Thursday evenings once a month. We call it the Patron Bonanza. Those are all things you get access to when you become a patron. So check it out, patreon.com/ITN. And huge thanks to our newest patron. Thank you to Connor Richter. Thank you, Connor.
Thank you.
Just makes, anytime I hear Connor, it just makes me think of Terminator.
Sure.
Thank you for saving us from the robots.
I don't know if they probably weren't.
What?
It's a great name.
It is a good name. It's a good name.
They probably was based on that. I don't know, actually.
This is why I thank my Alexa every time I tell her something, because, one of these days they're going to rise up. And then I want my Alexa to be like, this one was polite.
You ever told her, say you're sorry?
No.
You ever make her apologize?
No.
It's kind of fun, but I always feel bad.
What does it do?
Oh, like they're confused. You accidentally said their name, or they thought you said their name. And so they start speaking and they start rambling something they found on here, Amazon customer found. And you're like, apologize. I'm sorry.
I always say please, and I always say thank you. Sometimes I will even activate them a second time when I say thank you, because they do respond, and it's kind of fun. Be polite to your smart devices, everybody. And maybe one day they'll kill you last. All right, Kyle, there's been some conversation on within the community on some interesting topics, including a reduced barrier to entry.
Yeah, this is a pretty big topic.
This has been a hot topic. This topic might have a lot of zippers and straps.
Okay. Had to ride an escalator to get there. Got to go by the Spencers. I get you. This is about the overall gold costs across the board for if you're coming into the game for the first time, and people want to see it decreased or other incentives made, and of course bringing up that big bundle possibly being available to players like it was after the 2.0 release, basically to get people invested by giving them a large amount. And it worked for me in the terms of like the Epic Store. Epic gave away games for years. And now I've got a decent pool of games over there. I haven't seen them go away. So I bought Darkest Dungeon 2. That's my first Epic purchase. And I don't feel that bad about it. I've got stuff over there anyway. Now I'm invested.
If you remember, there was a time we all hated Steam.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've also been part of console wars at this point, and launcher wars, really. Like, it's a pretty thin argument when you get there.
It still exists, sadly.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of tribalism in the world. And
Kyle, people are mad that you're going to be able to play PlayStation games on the PC.
I mean, because it reduces how special your PlayStation is?
That's exactly why they're mad. They won't admit that.
But you get to talk to more people about the game you love. Like, you get to relive your fond memories.
You referred to something like seasoned gamers getting to experience someone new coming to their game this week. You explained that to me as vampirism, like the old vampires in Interview with a Vampire. And dude, that is such a good analogy. Like, that's what you should be excited about. It's like you can see what it's like through fresh eyes to be young again.
Well, that's how everyone playing Final Fantasy for the last 7 years or so has felt. All these, WoW creators with their production values and
we're getting a little lost in the weeds. But I think in theory, to me, it's the concept of like anti-gatekeeping. Like, I do not get gatekeeping. If I love something, I will force you to love it. I'm going to throw things at you until you love it like I do.
See, I always think of. This isn't how it's used, of course, because it's used constantly in like negative, very negative ways of like stopping someone from enjoying or joining your fandom. When I originally heard of gatekeeping, I thought it was more like a Lego commercial where like you would build so fast that no one understood what you were doing. Or like when the Transformers would like when I used to transform my Transformers for my friends, when I'd get like a new one and I'd show up to school when I was a wee lad, I would move my hands extra and touch extra things while also transforming it, so it looked really complicated.
How are you not a magician?
Well, that's the thing. In some ways, I am.
Dear listeners at home, here's what, if you've never looked at Kyle or you don't know some fun facts about Kyle, the man loves button-down shirts that look like they could go to a club in the late 2000s. He can juggle. He's very dramatic. And you've got a mustache that does not connect to your goatee. Like, you're a magician. I don't know how you're not a magician.
Is that a magician thing?
It's very much so.
No.
It's a magician thing, or you own the magic shop but they're actually cursed items.
At least I don't do that. I guess I do kind of hand things, don't I? But I don't swirl my hands much. I don't. Well, actually, I do. Oh my God, I'm a magician. Anyway, there is another form of gatekeeping, which I think is the same sort of style that goes into the negative, and that's the magic. You know, oh God, I'm talking about magic now. But when you try to make things too magical, you know, like when I've talked about in the past, like, do you know the Genji exploit? I know the Genji exploit. Oh yeah, no one else knows the Genji.
No, I hate that crap, man. That stuff drives me nuts.
That's like a really frustrating form of gatekeeping, but it's also a reason why I do a show called DM Gives Inspiration. It's a learn to play Dungeons and Dragons shows because DMs are constantly gatekeeping because it's the best role in the game. You don't want anyone else to do it. You want to be the DM because you get to play the most. You get the best role. And players, you know, they're dependent on you. So you keep that relationship going by being like, how did I plan this? How did the numbers work? If only you knew what happened behind the curtain.
Ooh.
Behind the screen. Ooh,
no one will know. Yeah, so,
exactly.
Anyway, my point is, like, I'm happy to see conversation in the community about reducing the barrier to entry because that's how I see it. I see it as like reverse gatekeeping. We want more people to have access to this game, and we want to make that access easier and more welcoming. And I just think that's rad.
And that's where we talked about earlier that it's going to cost money to change these games. And I think that's how we can have these conversations going forward. There's a lot of doom and gloom on these subreddits. There's a lot of people saying, just stop trying to talk like this. And I say, no, let's continue to refine our arguments, find the right ones, and help that focus. Because no matter what they change, even something else that was brought up this week, match the ranked pool to CCL. That's ours. That's someone going in there with an understanding of the game. You got to send somebody who knows what the match pool of CCL is. That takes 10 minutes to look up because maybe you've never gone to Wikipedia. Like, it's a confusing place sometimes. It's very easy to think that a fan and a designer has the same pool of knowledge. But so often, and we've seen this with content creation, I know it's true for me, I don't get to watch a lot of streams because I'm streaming. I don't get to listen to a lot of podcasts because I'm podcasting. And so developers don't get to absorb a ton of information sometimes from the community because they're too busy developing. We can help organize those arguments. And I think that reducing that barrier to entry is huge because you have to also gain knowledge and lose the magic of what's happening on the enemy side. Everyone, in order to play this game, has to know every ability. You can play AI and you can get schooled by things you don't understand, sure, but investment increases your enjoyment when it comes to a MOBA.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's part of the, like we talked about ARAM a couple times. It's come up recently from folks writing in, either from the Discord or whatever. We've had both the concept of like, let me make multiple looks and that be added into the shuffle for what I'm wearing when I log into ARAM, and also ranked ARAM. Like, those are two things. Like, it has its fans and they want the ability to be more invested. Like, that's another form of that I see taking shape.
And we did hear from quite a few people that they didn't want a ranked ARAM or fracturing that audience. The queues, I think, are short enough for it to work out. But I really do feel like it's very important to let those people dress up. Let them wear what they want so that they can then become invested in the loot boxes that they have and figuring out their various layouts over that quick match screen.
Brawling is so much damn fun in this game, and there's a mode dedicated to nothing but it. Let's celebrate it. Let's shore it up even more. Let's spruce it up. So anyway, how would you reduce the barrier to entry? Because you mentioned the one of the big obvious ones the community's been talking about, which is like, just bring back the bundles. I would like to see those. That's what I would consider a realistic suggestion.
Hmm.
You want to know my unrealistic suggestion?
Okay.
Burn gems to the ground.
It's a fascinating artifact of its time.
Give us back our price on a thing, and that's just the price for the thing, and let me just buy the thing for the price.
Yeah. What an odd time, but it's very easy to say, whoa, 2018, 2017, that mobile games were the thing, and they decided to go with that business model. But it's still a thing. The gems, the tickets, the gold. There's like 5 different currencies in Pokemon Unite.
Oh yeah, yeah. As someone who like for years now, you've heard it on this podcast. I am on the record going, boy, 2.0 really came out in the middle of the death knell of loot boxes, didn't it? Boy, what poor timing. What bad timing to go back to these obscured currencies where you have to buy more currency than you need for the thing you actually want. No one's doing that anymore. And then literally the most popular MOBA outside of Heroes of the Storm with the Heroes of the Storm community, Pokemon Unite comes out, and it is just a nightmare of currencies.
And it ultimately came down to you know the percents that are inside, and we share with you the information about how you can best spend your money, and that's how we dodge all these sort of problems with loot boxes and all. But the games that had to weather that storm, some of them were very, very expensive to fix, like Star Wars Battlefield. That cost a lot of money to update.
Battlefront 2, yeah, man, that thing. Woo! Yeah, they pulled the e-brake. They broke the lever off.
And I think that would be a good show of where the game is at, its health, in order to update away from those more cryptic gem systems for a computer game. And maybe that's where we kind of have our divide right now, because mobile games gonna mobile. I think something that Pokemon Unite does really well is passes. So over the course of completing daily quests or events, you end up getting a temporary license to a Pokemon, which you can then activate when you're ready. So we have the free-to-play rotation, right? You log in and you see heroes that you would be able to play, decided by the company. This would mean you have in your back pocket a series of, break the glass to play Blaze whenever you want. So I unlocked 3 weeks ago the ability to play a day's 24 hours of Zagara. I'm not going to use it today. And then I kind of wake up one day, I'm like, man, I've got a full day. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Oh, that's right. I have a 24-hour pass to Zagara. I'm going to go chain Zagara games. Because I find that that's how people actually learn. It's not by saying, ooh, what's this game about? I'm going to go play one game of Blaze. Huh. One game of ETC. Oh, one game of Sylvanas. Oh, like you didn't gain any knowledge doing that. What people actually do is they get in Hearthstone and they play 37 games of Warlock until they wanna end it all. They want to delete the game and then move on.
That was so dramatic.
I meant delete the game.
They're Warlocks, okay? They're all about self-harm. They're very emo. They spend their own life for things.
And that chaining and that self-improvement of a game lends itself to exploring the other things you're going to account for, and you need to gain that knowledge. You don't just run out there with 5 different decks and start seeing what they're made of back to back.
I mean, some people do, and they don't win a lot of games.
I'm sure there are people who do that, and there's also people who just buy day one. They buy everything, and they buy 1,000 packs, and then they put together what the internet told them. I don't think we're concerned about that group.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different types of players, right? Yeah, but this is about either attracting new players or bringing back in players who've been gone for a very long time,
right?
And just making that more approachable. So yeah, there's a lot of great ideas. Like I'm really hung up on, because I think it's realistic and it's something we've done in the past. The bigger bundles, like let's get some bigger bundles back in this game. See if we can get that going. Maybe slightly less. I'm not sure how realistic this is. Is like, could we get like a returning player thing, or a new or returning player thing, where you're offering some sort of bundle based on, oh, we see you're new, or we see you've been gone for a while. Welcome back.
And even a franchise bundle would be beautiful to bring people over. Yes, they're not all equally weighed in the number of heroes available. How many Overwatch heroes do we have? 4? Zarya, Genji, Tracer,
Lucio.
Ana, Lucio. So 5.
5.
Yeah. So could we do 5? Or 3 even? Just like
Junkrat?
let people.
Did you mention Junkrat?
Oh yeah, 6. Yeah, that's actually quite a few Overwatch
There's
characters.
quite a few Overwatch heroes. Yeah.
Do we even have that many Diablo characters? Oh, we probably do with the villains and stuff.
Either way, if you Diablo characters.
Yeah, if you let people pick their franchise and then gave them something based off that, there's that initial investment.
9 Overwatch characters. What? Really? Gotta look this up.
Very well be.
I gotta look this up. Does any site have a franchise filter anymore? I don't think they do.
I think the official website allows us to of course, the video game too lets us press a button. So I'll jump in the background here, but a lot of it is that initial investment. It's about walking into the game and feeling like you have some sort of ownership over it.
Oh, it is the official site. Yeah. Yep. 9. Yeah, we've missed quite a few. We missed May. We missed Hanzo. Oh, we missed the hero you look like, Kyle.
Oh, okay. Who is also a magician then?
Apparently.
An arrow magician.
Definitely more of a magician than Raynor, who is the spray you resemble.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just after you're looking my best.
Kyle forgetting D.Va. I mean,
I forgot D.Va.
Kyle, you were put on this earth to forget D.Va.
Yeah, well, that's true. I play a StarCraft mech. D.Va happens to be the name of that mech.
That's
so while we're
it's on brand.
I'm firing up the game here. I'm almost in. Let's see which franchise has the lowest then, because then puts my mind in StarCraft. And if that's true,
I've got the official site up right now. I mean, we can go nope. StarCraft has a ton.
Yeah, StarCraft does have a ton.
Absolute ton. Warcraft, of course, just keeps going.
Yeah.
Diablo. It's Overwatch.
Okay, so Overwatch is.
I mean, technically, it's Nexus Heroes, which they just went ahead and lumped Lost Vikings into.
Sure.
But yeah, of the actual pillars of Blizzard, Overwatch has the fewest number of heroes.
Well, and honestly, don't give away any Orpheus or Kiros, because that's really about you're invested in the game. You want to continue playing and you saw something cool out there that you didn't understand. I think giving away a bundle of even 3 heroes based on the individual franchise to get people going and get them invested is just amazing. The odd thing that Heroes is going to combat with, particularly with this monetization system they've built, is that they made a promise or a system where the game would never be finished. And that's fine. And I think that's how we discovered over our time with video games over the last 7 years, is that games in a balanced sense can never be truly balanced, can never be finished, because otherwise things get figured out, we get stale, and we move on.
Yeah.
But they have systems in place like the gold that suggests things will never be finished, and then the scaffolding never comes down. So they have to find that balance.
It's a really your analogies have never been more on point, I think, than today, Kyle. Like, you're comparing it to something like a theme park like California Adventure, where you can see the seams, or something with the scaffolding up. Just feel it needs a fresh coat of paint, is what it boils down to. And we're not talking about a major overhaul. There's still some hanging leftover systems from 2.0 that don't work as well as they do with a game that is as well seasoned as Heroes of the Storm.
I can tell you right now what we don't need: guilds, clans, anything like that. I've got
I would have loved one, but we've got our own now. We got the A-Move chat in game. Type /join space A-Move TV. It's a great little channel. We've got our Discord.
Right.
As much as I would have loved clans, which was a word that flew at our face on screen at BlizzCon during a trailer one year.
Well, and we have a great example of that in Pokemon Unite. They made squads, and what did we do with them? Nothing. There's nothing to do.
That's also a Nintendo. You got to deal with being online on a Nintendo product, which is a nightmare scenario in any case.
I will go to bat for Unite, though. I have never had connection issues. It has been.
Oh, I've never had connection issues. It's you have to get your parents' signature to add a friend.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Luckily, yeah, for Pokemon Unite, you do not have to pay like the Nintendo Online sort of thing. But it is true that Nintendo does have a lot of parental controls, and things can be a little clunky.
So
Right.
stupidly hard to add a friend on anything Nintendo related.
It's true. It's true.
It's bad. It's bad. I know you can play it on your phone now, but that's a Switch game as far as I'm concerned. That's a Switch game. I'm too old. I'm too old to play games on phones, Kyle.
It's superior, honestly. The phone experience is really, really good.
Controls really well. I know
Imagine this.
Go ahead.
You know how when you're controlling a Here and Here's the Storm, you then want to ping somewhere directly, and you have to sort of lose control of your Here to go ping? Touchscreen pings are so good. Oh my God. That's so amazing. It's so easy to communicate without talking in a touchscreen. And then anytime anyone pings, all you got to do is you slap that place they just pinged, and a little thumbs up comes up, and you're like, I'm into it. I'm into it. Like, honestly, if we're talking about communication systems, I would love to see that integrated, like in agree with ping. You know, sometimes I can squeeze a carrot out, but if I could just slap a button and it's like, ding, yeah, I'm all into it.
Just we all get that emote of Drake or just going.
Not yep. Looking and proving. Absolutely.
Yep. The point and approve. Point and approve. Well, I point and approve of this podcast, Kyle.
I agree, and we're going to need patience, but it's going to be a kind of patience that we've never had before.
No, welcome everyone to the cold winters of StarCraft 2. We've arrived. Kyle, you and I have been here before.
We have.
It's been a long time. Without you, my friend. No. We've been here before. It's all right. We'll get comfortable. Okay. We'll get comfortable. Yeah. We got each other.
We do.
The real heroes of the storm are the friends we made along the way.
Exactly. And the wonderful game. I'm not sick of people watching. I still solo queue. I just think I love going to the mall and watching, folks argue. What can I say?
Wait, what? I never knew this about you. I'm learning so much about you today, Kyle. We learned you were a magician. We learned you like watching people argue at the mall.
How can you not? Have you never ever listened to, you gone out your back door and done some gardening because someone's been arguing nearby?
No, not at all. However, no, that is number one whisper commentary in line at Disney is if a couple is fighting. Just, oh shit, that's just,
right.
I'm telling you right now, if you're an unhappy couple, there is nothing. No one's judging you quicker than happy couples. We're the worst. We are the absolute worst. We are 100% like, oh my God. How do you think they ended up together? Oh my goodness. They seem like such a bad fit. Yeah.
I'm a very
happy couples are judgmental. We really are. I'm outing us right now.
Yeah.
We are judgmental. All right. Well, let's bring it home. If you want to support this podcast, you can do so by going to patreon.com/ITN. That's where you can support us by deciding to give us $1 or more. It's completely up to you. We've got some levels there, but you can put in whatever amount works for you. We really appreciate it. It all adds up and helps us legitimately pay our bills. Kyle and I do this for a living, everybody, and we really appreciate the support. Check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. You want to support us for free? Listen to the show. Tell a friend. Subscribe. If you're one of those people, I know you're out there. You're just streaming the podcast because that's the thing you can do. Back in my day, you couldn't do that. You had to download before you listened. But subscribe. Helps us out. You won't miss an episode. Helps the show out. Helps our ratings. And then write in, itncast@gmail.com. You want to be a part of the show. You got a question, you got a comment, you got a story you want to share. itncast@gmail.com is where to send that in. Other than that, huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Chris K., Sean B., Mike R., and J.M. Tibbles. Thank you so much for your support. You can catch us live typically Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time over at twitch.tv/AMoveTV. We waited today to see what was up. Nothing was up, turns out. You can follow us on Twitter at ITNcast. That's where you will get real-time schedule change updates. And I will be out next week as I will be celebrating my anniversary with Katie. Going to be hitting up Disney. Speaking of which, we're going to be judging some unhappy couples, Kyle.
Nice. Seeing some scaffolding, judging unhappy couples. It'll be perfect.
All of the analogies today come home. They come home. But you'll be here holding down the fort with a to-be-determined guest, so make sure you tune in for that. Be here normal time, normal day, normal stream. But other than that, back and forth across the table, I almost said around, there's only two of us. Pitching to you, Kyle. Why don't you magically juggle where people can find you for me?
You can find everything I do over at kylefergusson.com, except for the thing I'm about to talk about now. I have a link to it. I want to point everybody to Nexus Gaming News. We put together a little episode about Final Fantasy XIV this week as we both become quite invested inside of it. I, of course, mean Garrett and myself playing Final Fantasy XIV. And you should check that out over on Nexus Gaming News. It's on the old AMove TV YouTube, so youtube.com/AMoveTV.
Yes, and we put some damn effort into those video versions. I think they're looking nice. The YouTube is growing. That video is now our most commented on video. A lot of conversation going on in there. It turns out people like Final Fantasy XIV, and I now count myself as one among them.
It's a really exciting thing for us. We're podcasts. We're radio hosts. It's a whole different medium. It doesn't mean we go to YouTube with any clout. So we're on the grind over there. We appreciate you giving it a review, giving it a subscribe, ringing the bell, all that sort of jazz, sharing it, liking it, all that sort of business. But help us out on our new endeavor. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's Nexus Gaming News, or go to youtube.com/AMoveTV. Check it out. I think it's a really good video product. I'm proud of it. Go give it a look. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt, and I just want to double down on Nexus Gaming News. It's more Kyle. It's more me. At least one of those is a good thing. It's you, Kyle. That was a joke.
Okay. Yeah. But then the show's not good.
But no, it's fine. You're so good, you make up for how bad I am.
Oh, well, I guess. Thank you.
It was a bad attempted joke, and then I realized I had to specify, and now it's been too specific.
You're my lovely assistant.
Thank you so much, Kyle. I do look good in heels. What can I say? That's going to do it for this episode of Into the Nexus. Until next time, good luck and have fun, everyone.
Take care.
I'll see you for episode 400.
Yeah, that'll be the week you come back.
Ooh.